In 2001, LEGO created Bionicle. As most of you know, this brand will become a massive success. However, in 2009, LEGO announced that it would discontinue the brand the next year. Of course, since Bionicle was very profitable for the company, it would leave a massive hole in their earnings. As a result, LEGO began to introduce new themes in order to take its place. One of these was Hero Factory.
Hero Factory, please state your emergency.
The tentacle monster's back!
The first Hero Factory sets were first released to the market on July 3rd, 2010. As a way to promote the new theme, a new show premiered on Nicktoons in the United States, which I had no idea about. I have never heard of this show in my entire life. Okay, so in my last video, my good friend Thomas over here gave me a DVD of the first Hero Factory movie. However, the movie is actually just the first 4 episodes of the show, part of a miniseries LEGO initially produced for the brand. However, the brand will be successful enough to warrant more episodes being produced, totaling up to 11. And guess what? I will be talking about every single episode. Now isn't that surprising? I promised to make a video on the first 4 episodes and end up making a video on the whole series! How nice is that?
Oh yeah, that is good. So, I can have the DVD back, right?
Yep. Here, catch!
Wait, whoa! Thank you.
You're welcome. Right. One more thing before we go on. Since I will be dealing with an entire show, I will try to keep the summary as brief as possible. I have around 4 hours of content to parse through, and I do not have the patience to make an hour-long video. If Cody from Alternate History / Pointless Huff can do an even longer show in around 30 minutes, then so can I. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about these heroes to the core! At least, that's what they call themselves. The first episode of Rise of the Rookies, Trials of Inferno, opens up on an asteroid where the Alpha 1 team, led by Stormer and his comrades, Bulk and Stringer, are set to guard explosives in a mine. However, 2 evil robots, Rotor and Explode, try to stop their mission. Meanwhile, a rookie named Inferno is ready to start his first day as a hero. However, Stormer doesn't want him to fight, citing his inexperience.
Ready to come down and join the team.
You'd better stay in the hero craft. We don't need a rookie underfoot.
With all due respect, sir, this is my mission trial.
Right. So, lesson number 1. Listen to the team leader.
However, after Explode bails on Rotor, Inferno finally gets his chance to cuff him, before Stormer jumps on him just as Rotor's about to blast him. Rotor then leaves thereafter. Meanwhile, we are introduced to 2 other rookies, Breeze and Surge, who have yet to go on their own mission. Later, we get an introduction to Mr. Mercuro, the founder of Hero Factory, where he and Hero Factory's chief, Zib, discuss the potential of Inferno. Mr. Mercuro then gives a lore dump as to how the heroes are made and how Inferno is actually You've seen this before. When Alpha 1 returns, Stormer recommends that Inferno train, and Inferno does so much so that he eventually gets burned out. Get it? Burnt out? Because fire?
What?
Or burnout trying.
After Inferno recharges, the rookies and Stormer are then sent on another mission to try to deal with Rotor and Explode, also involving explosives for some reason. After distracting the villains with a decoy, the heroes would later go on to deal with them despite a setback involving Stormer being down, all while Explode bails on his comrade again. He even throws him under the bus while he's at his most vulnerable.
You can't do this again, Explode, you filthy coward!
Jesus! The next episode, Core Crisis, involves a situation at a prison under construction. So Bulk, Stringer, Breeze, and Surge arrive to deal with the problem, as Stormer and Inferno are in need of a recharge. Breeze manages to escort the workers out of the construction site, but while she sends them to safety, Corroder, a robot with acid shooting abilities, causes havoc. During the fight, Corroder manages to pin Bulk down under a bunch of girders after releasing them from a crane. Unable to do anything, the heroes decide it would be best to activate a hero cell, as they have no other options left given their enemy. The hero cell essentially creates a force field around them, although it does drain their power, so it's—
Wait, you mean we're draining our hero course?
Yeah! During their time in the force field, Stringer gives Surge another lore dump about Stormer when he was a rookie along with another named Von Ness. Long story short, it didn't end too well. Meanwhile, after Furno finished recharging, he is sent to the front lines after being refitted with new acid-resistant armor. As soon as Breeze comes back, Corroder makes his escape, after which, Breeze is able to help Bulk get out of his predicament. The next episode, The Enemy Within, deals with the city under lockdown as Stormer and the rookies investigate the situation. Stormer ends up meeting the local police chief, who seems not all there to say the least.
I don't need anyone to tell me what to do with lousy heroes!
After an encounter with some police drones, Meltdown, a radioactive robot, comes crashing in and whips Stormer in the core before leaving. Meltdown didn't need to stay for long, as one crack of his radiation whip caused significant damage to Stormer. His entire operating system became infected with nanobots. Stormer then demands that Hero Factory place him in lockdown
Before... It's too late.
Yeah, now we know why the police chief was like that. Bulk, Stringer, and Furno then chase Stormer up the walls of the Hero Factory. Their chase doesn't end too well, as Bulk nearly dies and Stormer goes on the loose, and nobody can deduce where he is. While Furno decides to go looking for Stormer, Breeze, Surge, Bulk, and Stringer go to an asteroid to find the antidote, but they have to deal with a robotic snake monster while there. Meanwhile, Furno catches up to Stormer, and after a while, Stormer manages to pin Furno down, and when all seemed lost, Furno cuts deep into Stormer where it hurts him the most.
Oh, I know you're still in there somewhere. You gotta fight it, Stormer. Otherwise, you ain't any different than Von Ness.
Von Ness. No.
And it worked! Stormer is then brought back and given the antidote, and after he gets better, we get to see why Breeze and the others survived. Breeze was able to speak with her,
Yes, her.
and she was able to give the antidote to them. Meanwhile, as a black hole surges in some galaxy, we get to see Von Ness, who has been plotting his revenge against Stormer, and he decides to go through with the final stages of his plan under a new name.
Von Nebula.
And that is the name of the 4th episode, where Alpha 1 goes back to where Stormer's troubles began. Here they meet Corroder and a newcomer, Thunder, as they put the heroes in check. Meanwhile, the rookies back at Hero Factory are training with some new anti-gravity thruster rings, after which they are given particle separators, which help them deal with projectiles. As they head to Alpha 1's location, Furno tells the others the whole story of Stormer and Von Ness. While they and leader Thrasher are dealing with a giant mech, Thrasher gets hit pretty bad. Stormer tells Von Ness they need to continue fighting, but Von Ness just flees. Although Stormer fails to bring him back, in that moment he is able to save the day, albeit mentally scarred afterwards. So they finally arrive along with Exploded Meltdown. Thankfully, Alpha 1 has got their backs, until Von Ness, now Von Nebula, comes in and sucks away their weapons. Stormer then decides to enter the black hole with Furno trailing behind. In the black hole, Stormer and Furno come face to face with Von Nebula as they try to resist his influence. Meanwhile, the other heroes manage to drain the bad guy's weapons, except for Explodes, in which they finally use their particle separators. Back in the black hole, Furno and Stormer decide to use their anti-gravity thruster rings. Furno throws him down into the hole, causing its destruction, and Stormer then takes away Von Nebula's staff and...
He needs some milk!
Anyway, once they leave the black hole, everything becomes normal again. They then go back into the Hero Factory and put the staff in containment. But is it contained? Okay, so apologies for any drops in quality for the next few episodes. I got the rest of the videos off YouTube, just letting you know that. Anyway, Ordeal of Fire opens up at a refueling station where new villains come to attack. The workers sound the Hero Factory alarm, and Stormer, Furno, Breeze, and Surge arrive to deal with the mess. Meanwhile, Mr. Mercuro introduces the hero upgrade, with 2 new rookies, Nex and Evo. Back at the plant, the new villains make their debuts. Nitro Blast, Drill Dozer, and a new villain, Firelord, who has fuel siphoning abilities. The heroes find it impossible to attack the villains, so instead they decide to evacuate themselves and the workers, but as the villains try to stop them, Surge causes a distraction, allowing the rest to do their jobs at his own expense. Back at Hero Factory, Stormer demands that Mr. Mikuro give him the upgrade, and after enough convincing, they get just that. And here they are, better than ever. The only downside is they aren't quite used to it. But that doesn't matter, as they get sent back anyway. After they fail to be stealthy thanks to Furno, they then take the villains head on, but they soon get overwhelmed, even with the upgrades. As the heroes are about to perish, the new upgraded rookies arrive, and together with the rest of the heroes, they deal with both Nitroblast and Drill Dozer. But before the heroes could stop Firelord, he gets one good charge into himself, before he gets rammed by an incoming ship, destroying his siphoning power. This was thanks to Surge, who, like the other heroes, also gets his upgrades as Firelord goes into rehab. Savage Planet begins with a new rookie, Raka, as he goes over to pick up a former Hero Factory professor on a nature reserve planet. However, when Raka arrives, he meets weird beasts which are revealed to be controlled by said professor. Back at Hero Factory, Furno, Stringer, Bulk, and X all play a game I can't understand except they use Mario sounds. Stormer then calls him over to get briefed on Raka's situation, in which they are then fitted with new animal-themed armor. When they arrive on the planet, they deduce that the professor, Aldous Witch, also Stormer's own, is responsible. Turns out, he really liked the hero's quasi-powered hero cores. Like, really. So much so that he wanted one for himself. But Stormer said, yeah, no. And thus, Aldous was sent into exile. The heroes then find Raka, and soon after, the new Witch Doctor. Get it? His last name is Witch. And he's a doctor, making him a witch doctor! Okay, yeah, that was pretty bad. After Rocket gets new lion wait, how did he get the new armor? It's not like he was at the Hero Factory or anything. They then go out to a temple they believe the witch doctor has headed off. Meanwhile, the witch doctor has the animals hard at work mining the quasar from the planet, which seems to aid in the planet's destruction. When the heroes reach a shortcut with a teleporter, they split up into teams. Raka, Bulk, and Stormer go through the teleporter, and the rest with Furno go down a longer path. Past the teleporter, Raka's team makes it to the temple, but...
Gentlemen, we have a small problem.
Turns out, the teleporter accidentally shrunk them, leaving them compromised for the time. Meanwhile, Furno's team gets attacked by animals controlled by the Witch Doctor, which continues into the next episode and second part. After Bulk translates some ancient script, it's revealed that in order to save the planet, they have to bring the Quasar back into the core by way of this thing. Meanwhile, Furno's team finds out that if they cut off the red Quasar crystals on the creatures, they stop being hostile. Also during the fight, Furno unfortunately breaks his jetpack, so they all make a run for the temple. Meanwhile, Raka and Bulk find their way into the Witch Doctor's hands. Uh-oh. When Furno's team makes rendezvous with Raka's, Nex and Stringer help bring him back to normal size. After this, Raka goes after the... Stormer goes after the Witch Doctor, while the others try to fight back the other creatures. Furno and Nex find Raka in a cave, where they then get the idea to make Raka... What? There's no way Nex can... Whatever. Mega Raka and Witch Doctor fight, to which the Witch Doctor almost wins until he doesn't. Stormer breaks the Witch Doctor's staff, and Furno tries to break his Quasar machine. He almost gets it, so he has Bulk help him finish the job, and after the Quasar rains down into the core, the planet begins its healing process. Part 1 of Breakout begins with Raka and Furno bringing in a new villain, Voltix, to his prison. However, upon seeing Von Nebula's staff, Voltix...
Whoa! What's he doing?
Yeah, I don't know either. Whatever it was, it led to the entire jail being shut off, causing every villain to be freed. The heroes try to stop them, but they fail. Miserably. Every villain escaped, so the heroes, this time Stormer, Furno, Stringer, Surge, and Evo, and everyone else for that matter, go to catch him and cuff him as per the mission. Meanwhile, Raka stays put for some reason as a new villain makes his appearance. Stormer has to deal with Speed Demon, Evo with Toxic Reaper, Furno with Jawblade, Stringer with Voltix, and Surge with Split Face. While each of the heroes struggle to apprehend the villains, back at Hero Factory, the new villain, Black Phantom, makes himself known to Hero Factory staff and cuts him off from the outside world. By part 2, the heroes aren't faring any better. Meanwhile, Raka manages to get hold of Zip and the others. However, they can't do much, leaving Raka alone. Eventually, Black Phantom finds out that Raka's still there and sends his Robobugs after him, all while explaining that his goal is to use the Hero Factory Assembly Tower to destroy it, using the power of his anti-Quaza. Meanwhile, Raka tries to get into Mr. Makuro's office in order to allow the heroes in, all while dealing with the bugs. Eventually, the heroes manage to catch and cuff each of the villains, and all of them rush back to Hero Factory. Except for Stringer, who gets lost.
Now where did I park my hero pod?
With the help of local news, the heroes are able to hide their landing from Black Phantom. Meanwhile, Raka manages to let the heroes back in, but by that point, Black Phantom is already at the tower, so the heroes rush over there while Raka explains that he is part of an elite group known as the Hero Recon Team, which is why he stayed behind. The heroes then get in the tower, and with the help of Evo's advice, Black Phantom is both caught and cuffed, and so the day is saved. Almost. The plans for the Hero Factory were stolen, and as a result, whoever took them can now make their own heroes. But that's for the next episode. Brain Attack begins with a villain from the last episode making these brain creatures that he sends to the hero's planet. These brains then go on to take control of the local wildlife from the smallest to the wait, isn't that just Savage Planet? Meanwhile, the heroes are basking in their own popularity until they are called over to help deal with the brain zombies who are making their way to the Hero Factory. So Stormer, Furno, Bulk, Breeze, Surge, Rocket, and Evo, Jesus that's a lot of them, get equipped to deal with them. Evo is sent into the sewers while Surge guards the gates. The rest deal with the creatures on the streets. Unfortunately, during the attack, Surge succumbs to the brains. Meanwhile, the heroes find that hitting the red spikes of the brains frees the hosts. Red spikes to free them? This really is Savage Planet! As they free the animals, a massive brain dragon arrives, which soon makes it into Hero Factory itself, causing it to go into lockdown. The heroes then rush over there while Raka goes after the dragon. While in the Hero Factory, the heroes come face to face with a hero drone army led by none other than Surge. Meanwhile, Raka fights the dragon, and while he is trapped in a storage bay, he finds a mech suit he uses to level the playing field. Meanwhile, Breeze goes up to deal with Surge, who is responsible for the hero drone's creation. Both Raka and Breeze end up successful in dealing with their respective enemies.
Wow, I got a headache.
Okay, so this is a weird one. So LEGO decided to have a different animation studio work on this episode, hence why the characters look different. None of the original voice actors came back either, as LEGO replaced them due to budget concerns. The episode didn't even air on television, only being available online as part of an interactive trailer it seems. The episode begins with worker bots in some city trying to drill a hole for some transport passage. However, they end up getting sucked into the ground, leading Evo, in a new mech, to investigate. Eventually, the rest of Alpha 1 come in as Evo is quickly overwhelmed by the beast coming out of the ground. The heroes then build their own mechs and fight the beast until they too find themselves overwhelmed. When they chase them underground, they find the workers in cocoons of sorts, and after a lot of nonsense, they end up fighting the queen beasts, and they end up I have a lot to say about this episode, but I think I'll do that in the next section. You'll see what I mean. Okay, let's talk about what I think about the show. First, the world building and story as it stands is pretty solid, although I will say that the show's pacing is pretty weird. I'm mostly talking about pacing in between episodes. So you have a 4-part story arc and then a 1-part story arc right after. Of course, I understand why this is the case because the show was just intended to be just Rise of the Rookies and that's it. It was the success of the toys that ultimately led to more episodes of the show being produced. Speaking of which, the show can also be pretty funny at times. I know it's sort of dumbed down for kids, but there were a few moments that got a chuckle out of me regardless of the intention.
Have a taste of my lightning blades! Ow! Ow, 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 ow!
Amazing. As for characterization, I feel the show did a good job with some of the characters. So let's talk about them. First up, Preston Stormer. Oh yeah, these guys have names! Well, Yeah, they have names, but those are their last names, believe it or not. So, to be quick, Stormer's first name is Preston, Furno's first name is William.
What be your business in our fair town?
I am William, the rightful Duke of Normandy.
And for everyone else... So yeah, back to Stormer. During Rise of the Rookies, we learn that Stormer finds himself dealing with his own personal demons as a result of his first mission. During this time, he is an absolute perfectionist and tries his hardest to make sure each mission is perfect.
If I were you, kid, I'd hit the training sphere. Start by replaying today's mission. See how many critical errors you made. I counted 18.
Even after Rise of the Rookies, he's still no-nonsense get things done.
If you two are done yapping, we've got a teammate to rescue.
And while I think the intention was to have him have a recognizable personality because the writers don't care about continuity, ironically, this benefits his character. Of course he wouldn't be over it after Rise of the Rookies. People still deal with those things after stuff like that. Now let's talk about Furno, possibly the greatest character out of all of them. We see Furno's beginnings as a rookie in Alpha 1, and then mature into a true leader, even going so far as to have rookies under his own wing. I like the whole rivalry between him and Raka in Savage Planet.
Kinda funny, sending Furno to rescue Raka, the new Furno.
He doesn't compare to me.
Well, among all the heroes, you both have the most villain captures.
I've been around way longer than him. I have more...
Yeah, you're older. Raka was born with the upgrade. You were the hot shot. Now there's a new kid on the block.
A new kid who gets lost on a vacation resort.
Wow. Talk about cats in the cradle. And yet, the writers made sure to make Furno still be Furno. He's still a hotshot who makes mistakes. But he is also willing to be different from Stormer, and that is to the rookies like Evo's benefit. It's all so well done. I also want to give a mention to Raka. While I don't think his arc was done nearly as well, especially since he is part of the Hero Recon team after his introduction last episode, the whole character seems like a cop-out, and you know how I feel about these scenes. Raka could have been a better written character, and it's sad, because I like seeing him in action. One more thing, with Evo and Nex, their personalities were removed after their debut for some reason. Why? Evo's calm and collected personality was pretty cool. Can't say the same for Nex though.
Follow me on Hero Feed, or friend me on Hero Book.
Also Bulk. I don't know, I just really like him. Like, a lot.
Hey.
Wait, how'd he do that? He's made of metal. Alright, I've talked about the heroes, now let's talk about the villains. Honestly, they're pretty hit or miss. For example, Von Nebula's motives are pretty hard to believe.
This is only the beginning of my revenge on the great Preston Stormer.
How? You literally bailed on Stormer in his most vulnerable moment up to that time, and now you are evil? The worst he did was break the glass of your hero craft. You are the coward who fled, Jagoff. Ay ay ay. Originally I was going to talk about how some of the villains like Firelord bring him things that are never mentioned again, but I think it's because the show went down the tubes and the writers never had a chance to work with these. Which is kinda sad they never did. We never got to see who this guy was. A true tragedy. On a related note, the voice acting is amazing. Each of the voice actors give their characters a lot of personality to where they just shine bright. Although, sometimes it's pretty rough.
Surge.
I'd feel you sound a lot more worried about his safety.
Bulk.
Oh come on! That's literally seconds after the last one! What was going on in recording that day? As for animation, it's pretty solid as well. The fights are well animated, or at least well animated enough, and it was exciting to see the heroes in action in some scenes. Alright, now what do I think about Invasion from Below? I know I've held off talking about it, so now, here's why. It's so boring. And I don't just say that because they're digging a tunnel.
Is that supposed to be funny?
Now, normally, each episode is around 22 minutes long, and there's enough happening in each episode to make each enjoyable enough. This episode, however, was a slog to get through. It felt like watching this episode lasted longer than watching the rest. The new cast doesn't help. Before, it was pretty good.
You've been working out? You've never been that fast.
My speed ain't the only thing been
Augmented?
What she said.
And now?
Get clear!
There's no time!
Nothing my flame cannons can't handle. Thanks for no.
All the personality and growth the heroes had over the span of the show's run is now gone, as they become just generic fighters, with the slight exception of Breeze being able to talk to animals, and maybe Stormer too? I don't know, I just found the scene funny.
Looking smooth, Stormer.
Need us to add some training wheels for you, Stormer?
Knock it off.
Classic Stormer. Yeah, this whole episode is just weird. It's even weirder when you realize this was supposed to continue the story, despite being nothing like what came before. But I think I'll just leave it here. I've had enough. Would I recommend this series? Well, yeah! Even though this show is pretty rough around the edges due to its insane production, as it stands, I think this show is pretty good, all things considered. However, the show could have been better, and it's kinda sad it never got its chance. When Mr. Mikuro spoke of Furno, he talked about its potential. Maybe, if the show was given the time and capital to cook, maybe it could have reached its full potential, just like Furno. But instead, LEGO decided, you know what, screw this. I want to work on Ninjago instead. Honestly, it was a good call, as Ninjago was a fantastic show. But still, it makes you wonder what could have been. As stated earlier, I got most of the episodes from YouTube and some from Thomas.
So,
there's a playlist of every episode out there, so feel free to watch it if you like. Just don't watch Invasion from Below. Ever. At all.